Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy. Check this out. So I'm in my truck driving with my buddy, and we was heading up to the men's warehouse to fart in the suits, and he's listening to his phone, and I said, that sounds like Hermie Sadler. He said, it is Hermie Sadler. He's got a podcast called Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator. I said, Sadler and the Senator? He said, yeah, that's his good buddy, Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley. I said, well, what in the world? He didn't know this. I said, did you know that Hermie Sadler was voted one of the 50 best looking drivers in NASCAR? He said, I did not know that. I said, because it ain't true. You never know, though. He never takes off his helmet. But I know one thing. This show, Leaning Right, Turning Left, is good. So pull up a chair right there by your phone, get yourself a cold beer, and give a listen right here to this week's episode of Leaning Right, Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator. I'll tell you what, I bet Michael Waltrip's even listening. He's always wanted to do something like that. Oh, Sadler, got another one over on Waltrip. Get her done.
Thank you again, Larry, the Cable Guy. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley, and I'm leaning right.
And I'm former NASCAR driver Hermie Sadler, and I'm turning left. Leaning Right and Turning Left is back with the Christmas week edition of Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator, as always, powered by Pace-O-Matic.
Ho, 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 Hermie Sadler.
We went to see the
You're on my naughty list, Hermie.
legendary Santa this past Sunday.
Hi, Hermie.
Right here in Richmond.
So again, I think we talked about this last Christmas, the legendary Santa that you have. And I saw this on your Facebook feed. Explain to us what legendary Santa is, because we have Santas all over the United States and Virginia, but there's only one true Santa, and there's only one true fanny pack. He's with us again, and we're together. We're not doing this remotely. We're together, and it's our main man, Shep Moss. Shep.
Santa has come down the chimney today and delivered me as your present.
Well, after that bad joke about
Last
Santa,
week,
why he didn't have any kids.
well, it was a great joke.
I listened to it on the way up here as I drove from Southern Virginia, Southside Virginia, up here to Richmond. We're in Richmond. We're not at the Stanley Skyscraper. We're at my apartment here in the beautiful and lovely compound that you guys are afraid to even drive into.
It's a nice gated community.
It is as best as it can be, but we're here with our pre-Christmas episode, and you went and saw Legendary Santa.
Legendary Santa, when I was a kid growing up, he was at Miller and Rhodes here in Richmond.
Which was a clothing store, which is now a hotel.
That's right. These days,
Right next to the
Legendary Santa is over at the Science Museum of Virginia. There was a jolly old fella named Dan Rowe. We used to call him Santa Dan. That was the legendary Santa from the time that I can remember, 4 or 5 years old, until he passed away about 5 years ago. In his mid-90s, he was still being the legendary Santa at Miller and Rhodes. And he's known not just statewide, but not going to say nationwide, but certainly across the region as a legendary Santa. What made the legendary Santa cool for us, Bill, is as a kid, you didn't quite pick up on it quite as much, but you walk up and before you go see Santa, you speak to his beautiful Snow Queen. And she asks you several questions, including your name. And the cool thing was the legendary Santa calls every kid up to see him by their name. So Santa looks at the next one in line and says, hey, Cora, Naomi, and Haley, y'all come on up and see Santa. I mean, how would anybody other than the legendary Santa know everybody's name? But the cool part about it was I had a special friendship with the legendary Santa outside of Santaland. Legendary Santa happened to be a race fan, and legendary Santa Dan, actually used to install swimming pools.
Oh, wow.
When he's not on his sleigh.
And later in life had a shop here in the Richmond area where he repaired jewelry and furniture and polished brass and things of that nature that we carried stuff to. So the cool thing was as Cora and Naomi as they reached the 11, 12, 13-year-old range, and they started to hear things about Santa at school and on the school bus about, is Santa real? All I had to do, because in this Santa, legendary Santa, Santa Dan, had a very distinct voice. You would know it anywhere. I would have Santa call and talk to Cora, like
on
hey,
Christmas Eve or
Christmas Eve. Hey, Cora, this is Santa. How your dogs doing? How is Eminem and how is Bristol? And, so if Cora had a little question about, so-and-so said on the bus that Santa wasn't real, and Cora be like, bullshit. Santa called me and knows where everything. I live, knows my name, knows my dogs, knows my this, that, and the other. So
and knows I just said bullshit.
So
I'm losing a gift.
We were able to keep the dream of Santa alive in our house for a extra year or two.
That's pretty cool.
Which was great. And but we went this past Sunday. It was River, my granddaughter, her first ever trip to see Santa. She slept through the whole thing. But the other cool part was, Haley is 25, but she's special needs. And Haley is still 100% all in on Santa.
Didn't she have last year she had a list of 83 items, wasn't it?
This year she cut it down to 5.
Oh, wow.
And Santa even said Haley got her list printed off just to make sure there's no misunderstanding with Santa.
Yeah.
And Santa
handwriting mistakes.
Santa it was printed off, and Santa said, Haley, this is a very practical wish list. I'm going to see what I can do. And would you also like some surprises? And Haley said, yes.
Wow. So down to 5. I mean, can you talk about what those 5 would be? They're
very practical items.
Okay.
iPad case.
Sure.
She loves bright colors. A rainbow backpack. Things of that nature. Yeah, things that certainly not what my other kid, cars and, all that, but Santa Dan Rowe was a special person. He actually, after he retired from Santa Land, actually made a trip to the barn behind Elliot's house to come see our family, and do Santa for us.
Oh, wow.
My kids just beautiful Santa, but it really made Christmas special around our house since the time I can remember ever going to see Santa at Miller and Rhodes up until about 5 years ago.
That's an amazing story. I mean, I hope my kids don't listen to this podcast episode, because then they'll see I gave them the Santa short shrift compared to what the Sadler household was. What about you?
We talked about this coming up here today, actually. Hermie and I did. And he pulled up a picture on his phone. I think it was 2017.
Yeah.
I think I saw it was 2017 where the legendary Santa was at the barn, exactly what Hermie was talking about. It's a really cool family picture. Yep. What a great memory.
Oh, wow. Hermie, you're showing me that picture now, and you look skinnier, and your kids look beautiful as always. And man, he looks like Santa. Mm-hmm. A real live Santa.
Yep.
Was that a real beard or was that a fake beard? He
would grow it in, and then he was the most beautiful Santa and great guy, and loved some NASCAR racing too. So
how did he get the name?
Unbeknownst to even my kids, when they were young, they stood on pit road beside Santa Dan many a time and never knew it.
How do you get the name Legendary Santa?
That's just what the experience is called.
Okay.
Here in Richmond, it's been
that forever.
And back in the early days,
you didn't know that.
Santa Dan.
I live in the South.
Santa Dan and his brother. So they had one seeing all the kids in the bottom of Miller and Rhodes. Then you could go up on the top floor at Miller and Rhodes and go to the tea room and have cake with Santa and Rudolph, and they look very similar. So it was 2 Santas, one seeing the kids down low, and you could go have Rudolph cake with the Santa upstairs. So
pretty cool.
Did you ever go see Legendary Santa?
I did. Yes. I have some pictures. No, I mean, I was a kid.
I mean, before you started shooting up the Ozempic and losing all this weight, were you like breaking his leg when you'd sit on his lap?
I was like 8, 9, 10 years old.
And again, my question is the same.
Long red hair.
You.
Plaid pants or wide
Hey, can we Bluetooth something through? I've got on my phone back from 2017, the legendary Santa read part of a Christmas story to my kids. And we'll just play like 30 seconds of this. Is that all right with you, Bill?
Well, sure. No, yeah, we can hear the real Santa. I mean,
It take me just a minute here.
Should we be playing some Christmas music maybe? I mean, hold on. Yeah. Stop that and play that. Okay. That sounds good. I mean, this is the almost Christmas episode. I mean,
Hermie, is your Bluetooth on?
when you're hearing this episode, it's Thursday. Christmas is Monday. Everybody's getting their shopping done. Everybody's decorating, making cookies. We made cookies this past weekend, made Chex Mix and my famous Chex Mix maker. And we've been enjoying a really good Christmas. So let's see if these boys can put this together. Cause we just had
bit of an audible.
Yeah. Well, you know, we sat here for 45 minutes waiting to tape while my son and Aaron Arnold were trying to put some clips together for us on the best of. And
let me just play it and hold it next to the mic.
No, just hang on a minute. Let me add you.
Here we go. Do 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 do. Boom boom. Well, it's
Anyway,
Christmas. Everybody's.
We went to legendary Santa my whole life,
All right.
and then
Is that the PIN number on your phone?
I don't have no idea.
Okay, I'm gonna say
Oh
it.
boy, when country tries technology.
Are we ready?
Shep, come on, man.
I'll tell you when. Give me look.
Here, you know what? You know what we should do? We should be playing Christmas music while you're doing.
Wait a minute, I can't do any better. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, over the hills we go, laughing all the way. Ha ha ha! Bill on bobtail train,
I can see how this is going to work
making
out.
spirits bright. What fun it is to laugh and sing a sleighing song tonight! Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells. Wait a minute, no, it's jingle bells, shotgun shells. Robin laid an egg.
That's
Somebody
right.
laid an egg. Who
That's
laid
right,
an
Robin
egg?
did.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The Batmobile lost
and
his
we're
wheel, and a Joker got away.
Here we go.
Oh, that's
This
a
is-
great.
My favorite Christmas song.
Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as
Tell me when you're ready.
I think we're ready.
But as for me and Grandpa, we believe.
Are we going to try it?
Yep. Let's
So
try.
this is the legendary Santa came to our house in Emporia to see our family back in 2017.
Some of my little friends say there's no Santa Claus. Papa says if you see it in the sun, it's so. Please tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus? Virginia O'Hanlon, 115 West 95th Street, New York City. That was many years ago. And the editor replied, Virginia, your little friends are wrong. They have been affected by the skepticism of the skeptical age. They do not believe except they see. They think that nothing can be which is not comprehensible by their little minds. All mind, Virginia, whether they be men's or children's, are little. In this great universe of ours, man is a mere insect, an ant in his intellect as compared with the boundless world about him, as measured by the intelligence capable of grasping the whole of truth and knowledge. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus.
So you can see legendary Santa getting emotional reading that story to my kids. But anybody who's listening to this podcast that is from Central to Southside Virginia knows the legendary Santa Claus, and Santa Dan was that guy for as long as I can remember.
Wow.
Wasn't
That's,
that cool, Bill?
yeah. Shows a little Santa favoritism towards the Sadler family. I don't think we ever had anything
If
like
you had
that.
to reeling back in for one more. Of course, then after that, we went to the old thing that we use today. And when your kids get to be teenagers, they like, I don't believe in Santa. And we just like, me and Angie were like, okay.
No problem.
If you don't believe, you will not receive. And so, oh yeah, I believe in Santa.
Yeah,
So-
my youngest boy still does. And we do the elf on the shelf with the reindeer. You guys do all that?
We should sell that in the store. What a great tradition.
Oh, really? At Memory
In our
Makers?
store,
Yeah. How's that going? Is that going great? Store
Memory
going great? Yeah.
Oh, that's close.
I mean, when you're what?
Memory Maker.
When you're not at Boyd Chevrolet, you're at Memory Makers, right? No?
Yeah,
If there's not a town council meeting? Oh, that's right. You reside. So my youngest boy, but all my children, Elf on the Shelf, which I think is created just to drive parents crazy. I mean, think about it. Every night you have to wait till your kid goes to sleep and then move them again. And so for my son, 1 year we lost Elf on the Shelf. We packed it away somewhere. We couldn't find it. When an emergency got an Elf on the Shelf, I think I bought it. Turns out it was an Elfina. It was a chick elf, which he clearly knew the difference of. And then we brought out, or actually before we brought out the Elfina, we had a reindeer, which he named Lafayette. So Alex the elf and Lafayette make an appearance every day in a different position, in a different place in our house. And that tradition still continues. And he still likes it. And I think he still believes.
What do you
Or he knows that the gift count is increased by believing in Santa. Because I'm sure, when they're in like the 6th grade, like he's in, a lot of the kids are, saying Santa doesn't exist. But for him, he believes.
What do y'all do? Then I'll ask Shep, what do y'all do? Do y'all have any tradition for like Christmas Eve and Christmas morning?
Yeah.
How do y'all do all that with family?
Well, and so we've done this past weekend was cookie weekend, and we do Chex Mix and stuff I give out cookies and Chex Mix to all of the staff of the clerk's office in Franklin County, the Commonwealth's attorney, the judge's secretary.
Someone like a quid pro quo?
Yeah, quid pro cookie. I mean, you get sugar.
Yeah.
I need sugar later.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but it's been a tradition we've done for years. And so the kids really get into making a whole bunch of different cookies, oatmeal raisin, the peanut butter kisses drop cookie and spritz cookies.
Do you make them yourself?
Yes, they're all homemade.
No way.
Yes, they're all
I said,
homemade.
do you make them yourself?
I used to be more participatory. I think this year they were more participatory. Yeah,
Used to be more participatory.
Yeah.
Participatory.
Yeah,
How you
'cause,
say that?
I mean, I would make homemade chocolate chip and make the homemade oatmeal raisin. My wife kind of did most of that this year.
I'm
The
trying to
kids
give
were
you
putting
props
those
for
all
being
together.
an accomplished chef and cook.
Yeah. No,
but I'm
thank you.
asking you if you actually, when you're bribing people within the judicial system with cookies, are you making them yourself?
Yes,
Or
usually.
you child labor? I mean,
Yes, usually. Usually I am.
Sweatshop
Yeah.
there at the
Usually, but it's
Redneck
something
Aquatic.
the kids get
Center.
into it, and we get the sugar cookies, and then they decorate them, and
Mhm.
and they have a lot of fun that way. The older kids, not so much. My daughter, who's back from college, she decorated some with Chandler the sugar cookies, but both of them made the snickerdoodles and the oatmeal raisin and all that stuff with my wife, and I kind of sat there and drank beer and watched and giggled and laughed. But I make the Chex Mix because I have a particular Chex Mix recipe in a particular, thing that I cook it in. And you've got to cook it very slowly for about 2.5, 3 hours to make it just right with the
a lot
right
of difference
spices.
between 2.5 and 3. So we need.
Well,
to get-
yeah. I mean, sometimes, you turn the temperature up to make it 2.5 because you don't want to sit there for 3.
as Jimmy Spencer would say, you need to be more Pacific.
So when
can't be
you
more
do these
specific.
bacon treats, do you get,
Bacon treats?
Well, you
Baking.
bake?
Baking. Oh,
Yes.
okay, I'm sorry. I thought you
Not
said bacon.
bacon.
I was like, I don't know.
Bacon.
So do you get?
He's got a funny accent.
He does.
favors back during the course of the year, as Hermie alluded to.
From whom?
These
No.
clerks of the court.
Well,
and-
listen. Look, we do this
Look.
out of appreciation. Look, we haven't done
look,
that in a while. We do that out of appreciation. Every year they take our stuff. We work hard. We work them hard. We file a lot of pleadings. We ask for continuances. We move things around. We send out subpoenas through them. And so they do a very good job for us. And so we're just saying thank you at the end. And I got a very nice email from one of the clerks in Franklin County. And I just do it in my home county. So it's not like, I'd love to do it in all the places that I practice
Have you
in.
ever
but
thought about
that'd be
packaging
a lot of
this
checks, man.
product for sale?
No. no. But we do that. You know, now some of the attorneys do stuff like
Do
that.
you have a health department license to be making this kind of
Really,
product?
Mr. Class A contractor
I'm just
changing
asking.
floors
I mean,
and double wides?
You're doing a lot of volume here.
Oh, wait, isn't this the muscle of maiden
Have
muscle
you
here?
put
the
in a
clean and
commercial
jerk of-
kitchen that nobody knows about?
No, but we have a very nice kitchen, and we're very happy to do
I want to
that.
know why.
So I want to
Made in
read you
Muscle-
something. I want to read you something from one of the clerks in the, actually it's from the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. So of course I send some cookies to the prosecutor, but it said, thank you for the Christmas cookies and yummy Chex Mix. It was so thoughtful of you to think of us. I just wanted you to know how much we appreciate it. Now I got to go and get some before they're all gone. LOL. Hope you and your family have a beautiful Christmas. Thank you.
Oh, that's
Well, for
very
the person
nice.
But you know, they do so much for us in the judicial
Mhm.
system. They really, you know, keep the trains running on time. And a lot of times, you know, attorneys aren't appreciative. And that's just something we've done for about 15 years. So it's like a tradition,
you
and the
send
kids are a
this
part of it.
to the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office too.
Send them about 2 boxes of cookies, homemade, and a big box of Chex.
What does that sound like, Hermie?
So
Quid pro quo cookie.
Okay,
Is that so you're saying that because I do this for them, then I'm expecting something in return. I'm actually saying, thank you, please don't hurt me, because if we've ever been a dick during the year and put a lot
Sounds
on
like
you.
to me.
What?
what I'm saying, what I was really trying to, that's great. But what I was really trying to ask is, you
I
know,
love when Hermie gets all serious.
where like your Colin is
Colin.
older. Will he stay
21.
at the house Christmas Eve night or?
No, he'll come over with his girlfriend and the baby
Yeah.
Christmas morning.
Is he still in the fifth wheel?
No, no. The fifth wheel is parked
so that's
conspicuously
vacant, right?
out in front of my office next to my RV.
Does it have a full sale sign on it?
Not yet, but if anybody's interested in a beautiful fifth wheel, barely used, about a month, Cougar. It's a wonderful.
I bet
fifth
it
wheel.
is.
I was actually thinking, because Hermie, you said, you know, I was thinking about coming up here. I come up every year to the General Assembly. We're in Richmond right now. You know, I stay at this place for 60 days, and Hermie's
right.
like, you ought to hook up at the
Racetrack.
Richmond International Raceway, because they got hookups, and if they had hookups
Yeah.
and even for the crapper.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something to think about, because that would be an awful money saver. But yeah, no, that's there. And then they come over. Our tradition has usually been Christmas Eve, as you were asking earlier. We have them all over. We do our last bit of wrapping. I make a turkey. We have ham. We do a charcuterie board. It's not
A
called
coochie
that.
board.
A coochie board. We, you know, my wife puts, you know, a nice spread out. We eat that kind of stuff. Listen to Christmas music. Read from the Bible and the Christmas story, and really have a nice little family thing as we get ready. And usually the kids get so excited, as you know, Hermie, and you know, Shep, they get so excited and can't sleep. And so we'd have to sit there and wait and put whatever big gifts are for them, you know, later that evening when they finally fall asleep at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then, you know, wake up Christmas morning. We have, usually the kids are up at 6:30, which is ridiculous. I try to ignore them until 7. We make a big breakfast, like, you know, eggs Benedict and omelets and waffles and stuff.
What time
My
is
mom comes over. Would you like to
that?
come?
Maybe I'm coming. to
Absolutely. Bring your wife. It'd be lovely. And my mom, we go get my mom, drive her over. And then we sit there and we open family gifts until, you know, the afternoon. We take our time, and then we eat a little lunch, you know, kind of like after we have breakfast, we have you know, again, the turkey and the ham for sandwiches. And then we go over to my wife's in-laws, or I guess they're her parents. We go over to the Outlaws,
And that's where the fun began.
yeah, and let me tell you, and you and I were on the phone last year, if you remember, Christmas Day,
Yeah.
comparing notes and enjoying ourselves and making jokes about it as we do our obligations. But, you know, they're fine. And then her brother comes over and all their kids, and all the kids are there, and, you know, and we do that Christmas. And then we come back. And then usually my wife and I, when the kids kind of settle down, they're all playing with their stuff or doing whatever.
Y'all have a quiet romantic moment.
Then we open our gifts to each
Oh,
other.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A little quiet moment.
You know, and
Yeah.
I say, here, honey, I got you a pair of fuzzy socks, and I love you. How romantic. And
So what have you?
she gives me new underwear, and it's a great time.
Where have you shopped for her this year?
Home Depot.
Saks Fifth Avenue.
But don't you work for
No.
Lowe's?
I know, but the gift.
I mean-
so she's one podcast back. She may not catch this before Christmas if I tell you what she's gotten. I mean, I've gotten I mean, all right, I'll tell you, like from Home Depot, they sell an Oscar Mayer hot dog maker. She loves hot dogs. And it's like one of those hot dog rollers that you see at 7-Eleven.
It just rolls a little wiener around.
Yeah.
Rolls a little
She
wiener
loves
around.
a rolled wiener and a hot rolled wiener, and then, steams the bread underneath. So she had mentioned that one time. So,
Have you ever looked
silly
at
gifts like
Fredericks
that.
of Hollywood?
Who's that guy?
Just little.
I mean, don't the
No,
wieners
but I got her
get
some
longer
jammies with one of those little vents in the back, where you can take the poop without ever having
What's
taken
the name of the
onesie out.
place that sells the nice, most well-known place that sells the lingerie? The place you shop at all the time.
Fredericks of Hollywood.
No, it's another. What's the?
Adam and
Hollywood's the trashy one, dude. That was when you
not
got
Adam
the
and Eve.
magazine in the 70s.
Victoria's
so
Secret.
often.
Victoria's Secret.
Victoria's.
And don't you have a VIP card?
I
there?
do.
Yeah.
I do. Absolutely. I
For
mean,
yourself?
Can I use it?
see how you get a
For
table
yourself.
and we go
But
to
I'm gonna need somebody
bookbinders?
else to ask my wife what size everything is.
When
'cause
you
I'm
go
not
to
doing that.
bookbinders, we get a table. When I go to Victoria's Secret, I go to the back room.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you do on Christmas?
Well, let's get Shep Moss's first.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna end with yours big.
Mine is nowhere near as family oriented as either one of y'all's, because you have to remember, for the past, or really all of my life, I've been Christmas during retail during Christmas. So we typically would close the store at 2:00 on Christmas Eve.
Oh wow.
And being that you sold memory makers, you don't have to sit there and count all your money Christmas Day.
Exactly. And there's nothing to count. So, at 2:00 we would close, and it would just be a deep breath. Thank goodness it's over. Has everybody picked all their gifts up? Is it anything to deliver? And then normally we would get home by 2:30. That would normally entail a couple of cocktails. Some close friends would come
This is
over and shoot
Christmas
some pool.
Day.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
So you closed
at
2:00 Christmas Eve.
Yep. So we'd have some people to come over. We'd have a few cocktails, shoot some pool. Terry would normally, to be honest, she'd normally just go take a bath, put her pajamas on. She was ready to go to bed by 4:00.
I bet she couldn't wait to get you into bed.
Could not wait. But it's exhausting being in retail, especially a small business and the gift shop type of business that we had. It really, really is exhausting. We have some friends that are still in it. And this week is just brutal. It's so much pressure.
So do y'all open presents at Christmas Eve night at your house? Or
No,
y'all do
we
it
were
next
doing Christmas Day.
Uh-huh.
Christmas Day. But it's just so much pressure to make sales this week, to get the jobs done, to make sure it's picked up. Christmas for retailers is really not fun. We would never, or very seldom ever, ride around and look at decorations, because we were always working to 9:30, 10, 11 o'clock every night to try to keep up with orders. We didn't ever go see Freeman Lights until last year's first year we ever been. So a little different traditions, because everything was based around the business. I'm sure our kids missed out on some traditions growing up, but I think they also understood this is what had to be done during this time of year. So
Isn't that like the biggest part of your commercial
absolutely. Like I said, the pressure
30,
and the
40%
stress,
the whole year?
probably more than that. This week alone would be a huge number on yearly sales. So
What's
You
your
know-
biggest seller back then?
Simply Southern, no question. The Simply Southern line, anything with that on it was our number one seller.
Really?
Kendra Scott, when we sold Pandora, that was
That's the
crazy.
bracelet.
We had 3 employees the 2 weeks before Christmas that literally would not leave that Pandora counter. They wouldn't go help anybody else in the store. They had lined out the store of men trying to buy those beads. You could probably close your law office this week, maybe. A little different being in the General Assembly and that kind of stuff, but the law office could probably be closed.
Yeah,
Hermie
not a lot
can't
of,
close
not a lot
his
of court
business.
cases going on.
Yeah, Hermie can't close his business this week because of fuel and heat and oil, and convenience stores are open, the restaurants are open, but
Well, I'm
It's a
sure
little
there's
different
truckers there
deal,
on
you know?
Christmas, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised. A lot of trucks are down Christmas Eve, Christmas the day after Christmas, but people traveling, four wheel
Yeah.
traffic, families, and the restaurant, the truck stop restaurant, Andrew does for the last say 3 weeks all the way through Christmas, does a huge amount of catering and food deliveries.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to cook some people that don't have as big a family traditions and things
Yeah.
come to the truck stop to eat, because she does a buffet on Christmas similar to what she would do on Thanksgiving, turkey, ham, dressing, all those kind of things. But we're going to start a new tradition this year. We typically on Christmas Eve would go to Angie's parents, and
you love.
yeah. But this year, because this is Cora's babies, my granddaughter's first Christmas, we're going to start our own tradition and have a little
gonna
Christmas
be
Eve
awesome.
back at my house, which I am very excited about.
Oh, wow. So what do you do on Christmas Eve then? What is the new tradition for you?
Instead of going over there,
Right.
we're going to cook and have foods and finger foods and have the family, my
Pretty much your
immediate
crew.
family over to my house.
Are
And
you
will-
going to take the family to your in-laws mini casino?
No. No. But we're gonna have food and things and kind of do
So serious.
open some presents and stuff at our house.
You
And
going to make dinner?
we'll do some, not a sit down dinner,
Finger food.
but finger foods.
Okay.
And we'll open some presents, for the kids and the baby and stuff there. So I'm excited about that. But I don't want to bring up because everything around Christmas is typically joyous and festive and all that. But we were talking about Santa Claus, and I know what's going to make it Christmas fun for you this year is Chandler, and still can't wait to see what Santa brought.
Yep.
And Haley the other day, when she just stemmed so much, she was so jacked up about seeing Santa and wanted to make sure he had the list and all that. She's asked me 2 or 3 times since we got back, Santa got the list? I said, yeah, Haley, you gave it to him. But that also was one of the mornings that confirmed mine and Angie's concerns about Haley being developmentally delayed, because back when she was 2 years old and Cora was, 4, we remember Santa had come and, it's like a bomb went off in the den of the house, Santa and all these things. So Cora's in there, all these things and,
Oh, yeah.
baby carriages and this and that and the other.
Ripping open the gifts as quick
And
as possible.
Haley walked in with all this commotion and gifts and stuff. She walked right by all of us, didn't even look over and acknowledge any of us, and went right upstairs towards the attic and sat in the corner and started rocking. So that's when we were like,
Something's
we
wrong.
knew kind of, but me and Angie remember looking at each other and started, crying that day. It's like, we got this child that is all in on Santa and can't get, just bundled, overflowing with excitement and fun and throwing paper and all the things you are proud to be able to do for your kids, And Haley walks by and doesn't even cut an eye at any of that and walks upstairs, and just sits down and, so it was, in a way,
So you remember that every Christmas.
every Christmas Angie brings it up.
Wow.
But
in
it's
contrast
an important
now-
milestone for us,
Sure.
because now, Haley is the one that keeps the we love
tradition's
Christmas,
alive.
but Haley's now the one. That's why I bring it up. Haley's now the one, even at 25 years old. She believes.
She did a 180.
She believes, and she's the one that really keeps it fun for us, because now Cora and Cameron and Naomi and her boyfriend, they come over and help us get Santa Claus ready for Haley.
Sure.
And so that is, we try to make lemonade out of lemons, like a lot of, like you're supposed to do at this time of year. And so we enjoy after Haley goes to bed, because Haley believes I got to be in bed by 10 o'clock. Santa's going to be here.
Gotta go.
How great is it if, my 21-year-old still believed in Santa Claus?
It's a silver lining that is hard to find, but for us, Haley is, she was shaking when she saw Santa Claus the other day.
And my wife likes to joke that I'm the one that busted the balloon, because I'm like, do you still believe in Santa Claus? And they're like, why should I not? For my older kids, but
You're hard.
But how? No, but it only happened once, but how great is it when they believe? Because it's it puts a little pressure on you as a parent, but it's the magic of it. And that's even, my son is 12. This may be the last year. My wife and I have even talked about, I'm sure he's hearing it from people.
Sure.
He's good at just saying, shut up. It's not there. Or he's so good at it, which will make me be more worried when he's 16, 17, 18 and, taking the car or something. But he believes, and I really do believe he believes, and we all believe. I mean, Santa, we're all raised on that way. But it means so much when the kids do believe. It kind of lets the air out a little bit when they don't. It takes a little bit of the parental pressure off, but most of the time you're like, man, I remember just like you do when all three kids and your kids, when they're all at that age where they totally believed, they were nervous, they were excited, they didn't want to go to bed. We would be checking on them. Are you asleep? Yeah, we're asleep. No, you're not. You just answer. And all of that. And then sitting up until, and my wife and I would wrap gifts late at night on Christmas Eve after we had our festivities. And then we'd be checking, and then we'd sneak around and bring the bike out or whatever.
We used to have this thing that you could follow and track Santa.
Yeah, on the
Santa track.
Oh, he's in Asia.
NORAD.
NORAD.
North American,
exactly right.
the nuclear.
The other thing I forgot to tell you that we did with the legendary Santa, every once in a while, Santa, when he would call Coral, even if we go see him at the Science Museum, he would tell all my girls, he said, now, when I come in your room, I'm going to put a little dip of soot from the chimney, from the fireplace on your forehead. That way you'll know I've been there. And so when they woke up the next morning, they had soot from the chimney on their forehead, and they're like, see, told you,
So he went in their room and did that?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Isn't that
amazing.
cool?
You had special Santa over there.
Yeah.
My
That's
dad
cool.
did that one time when I was a young kid, and I was to the maybe non-believing, and I had a bunch of, in the 70s. Kids were like, Santa isn't real, and, God is dead or whatever. And I wanted to believe. I think I was about 8, 9. And he went outside. We had a fire, and, he got soot put on and did footprints, in boots. And so I believe for another couple of years after that, that was my dad. Christmas for my father was the best time of the year. That was when he loved Christmas, and that's why I love Christmas. And he left this planet way too early, a month after I graduated from college. But Christmas was his time of the year because there were so many Christmases that he missed because he was deployed as a naval aviator during the Vietnam War. Not so much as the 70s wore on, but there were 2 or 3 Christmases that he missed, and that crushed him. And he was very poor. So Christmas wasn't a bunch of gifts. So he overdid it during Christmas. And for me, that kind of instilled the Christmas spirit in me. My wife kind of always sees Christmas sometimes as stressful, but she is the most involved in Christmas. And she gets that spirit. And then, gives up the, come on, kids, we're going to go make cookies. And she plays Christmas music blaring to where you can't even hear each other talk. She gets kind of into it. And we're into it as a family. And it's going into that last phase where we've got the final kid that's getting to the point where he's getting ready not to believe. He just produced his letter to Santa yesterday, which pissed my wife off. Because she's like, really? She's done, my wife is so super organized. Like, we have 3/4 of the gifts wrapped already before we ever got to this weekend. She has everything ordered.
No need for her to be mad.
And
Just do it.
she's just like,
Just do it.
and then the list is the stuff that's, like, oh my God. And so I knew that he was going to ask for a couple things. So I went actually out and got him. She got mad that I got more gifts, but she's like, thank God you got him off the list. So I said, what do you expect from the kid? But we're having fun with it. I'm up here in Richmond. I'm going to do a little shopping to finish her up. And
have y'all have any conversation about maybe having another kid to keep it going?
Yeah. Listen, if my wife didn't, we lost our child. We lost Grace in 2014. My wife almost died. It was one of the worst experiences. And, that's why I'm so pro-life is 26 weeks. Our daughter was born and fought for life and was beautiful and didn't make it. And my wife almost didn't make it. And so I think if it wasn't just for that and the effects of that, we would probably have about 8 or 9 kids. We have baby fever all day long. So now we have
Moss. You got baby fever.
now we got the grandkid.
I've been snipped. The fever's
Dude, I think we would have one.
Fever.
We would have one right now if we could. And we love them. It's like dogs. I think dogs and cats.
I bet it is like dogs.
Speaking of dogs, is Santa going to come see the Beagles?
Santa will see the Beagles. We always get. Do you get your dogs gifts?
Sure we do.
We do. And we get the cats
Sure
gifts.
we do,
yeah. We get them all Christmas stuff. And Usually what we do is we take out all the old smelly toys that they've been playing with for the year, take that out of the basket and get them
Replace.
brand new toys that can smell up later.
So let me ask you this. Do you remember growing up with the Sears Christmas catalog?
Oh, absolutely. The
Oh, wasn't that the best?
called the wish book?
Yeah, the wish book.
Yeah. And you'd circle things.
That thing was the best.
When it came in the mail and, it was like 2 inches thick and it would fill your
Yep.
mailbox
Wait a minute.
It was the
2
greatest
inches
thing
is like this in Emporia.
in your world.
in Emporia.
Well, you had 5 wish
I need
books
you to
in your pants.
Stick like 3 encyclopedias on top of each other.
Yeah, well, I
But
mean,
wasn't that the coolest thing?
yeah, and then you had to fight your siblings over it, because then you'd have to mark it with your name
Yep.
because your sister would like circle something girly, and you're like, I want to make sure that Santa doesn't think I want that. But yeah, that thing, and they don't do it anymore. I mean, there's no Sears and Roebuck anymore. We were at the mall 2 weeks ago. My first job was at Sears and Roebuck, greatest job ever. I became a manager at age 17, and I guess they were that desperate for work. But it was in the catalog department, and the Sears is closed down, gone. Sears and Roebuck. I mean, they built houses. They were the retail, everything, and working there. And I got the Christmas spirit working there all the time. And but that wish book was something, and it had all the newest toys and all the.
One of my biggest regrets in life is, I can't say regret, but from a Christmas standpoint, the regret was being in retail, because all of the family traditions that y'all are talking about, for like the month of December, my kids ate Hot Pockets and cereal for supper because we were always at the store working again at 10:30, 11, midnight, whatever it took. That's just what you had to do. You'd sell all day. And then that night, if you were fortunate enough to make sales, we did engraving and embroidery. We would have to stay that night to try to just keep up. There was no, well, whenever it took, we would deliver
the week, the days
leading up. So there was the Christmas traditions for us were really at 2:01 Christmas Eve night, and Christmas Day.
2:01 p.m.
Yeah, p.m. When we locked that door, and we locked it at 2:00. If you in the parking lot, we were sorry.
How about for people that had tattoos? Did you say
that was 157 for them. We closed them down a little early.
But Bill, I need one piece of help. I got to take a right turn for a second.
Sure.
Is there any way you can button your shirt up one more button?
I'm missing a button.
Oh, you're missing a button. I'm sitting here.
What are you seeing over there?
I can see half of his left nipple and a little few strands of hair. It looks like some claw marks. Did Terry do that?
A little bit.
She's some fingernails. She was trying to hold on.
Yeah, it looks like hay in the manger right now is what he's saying.
And I didn't realize you had a button missing, but you got
I got a button missing.
Well, look, let me tell you something. Now, every time he's come in here, this is 2 weeks in a row, I've come up to Richmond when we record this. He comes in and he goes, man, it's hot in here. And then he's taking off what he thinks is a sweatshirt, but he always takes
he's disrobing.
Off. Yeah, he takes off the top.
He wants you to see. Trying to tell me his belly button looks different now that he's lost all this weight.
Did he ask for a comparison?
Do you want to see my new belly button? I'm like, no.
Really?
I don't. Yeah.
I was thinking about getting this one pierced.
But every time you take off like your sweatshirt,
show up a little bit.
But your undershirt comes with, and you go, oh, I'm sorry, look at me. I mean, kind of a little bit of exposure.
He's throwing in. He wants to bring this. He wants to bring Bill Carrico back.
Yeah.
And put a final number on the weight loss challenge.
Well, no, but see, I think we had a weight loss challenge for our listeners that have joined us just now, but we had some very faithful ones.
But it is incomplete.
We did. We had a weigh-in that I won, and I was on a strict diet, and then when I saw you two fat I decided, man, I got this in the bag. I started eating.
Looked like two jolly oils.
I started eating.
Have you ever heard of anybody being in a weight loss challenge, gaining weight, where money is on the line, and me and Shep gained weight?
Yeah,
we were positive.
I mean, and that's a clip we should play. And that was we got some weigh-in clips, and what we're going to do is play actually some funny clips in the second segment, but. That was a huge a bunch of fun, and you guys were going in the wrong direction. But so I just kind of gave in because I said I can gain weight and still win this thing.
How much weight have you lost?
And then Moss comes up here.
30 pounds.
In like 3 weeks.
No, it's been a little longer than that.
3.5 weeks.
Since maybe August.
3 weeks and 10 days.
August.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
So I'm swearing on the Christmas
and it's
special.
not Ozempic.
Okay, Jardensia.
It's called semaglutide, I think.
Semaglutide?
Yeah.
And it's a shot, right?
It is a shot.
All right. Are you diabetic?
My level,
You pre-diabetic.
I am pre-diabetic. Yes.
Which means
My A1C
just like
is
that.
like
just like f***ing Oprah Winfrey. Pardon me again.
0.2 from being diabetic.
Just like Oprah Winfrey, he's getting the shot when other people could use it because they're diabetic. And
Well,
he's
I'm no
losing
longer
weight.
taking the shot. It's now out of my
Wow.
price range.
What did the insurance stop paying for it?
It was never paying for it.
So the price just shot up?
Well, I'm unemployed, so, you know.
Oh, come on, man. I mean, made in muscle? I mean, that thing looks like lightning in a bottle. I mean, that's
We've had a very busy week. I will say that. We've had a busy week.
Okay. So you just decided you got down to the weight you wanted.
No,
you took the shots.
I just,
not diabetic, but got the shots.
well, I have
You lost 30 pounds.
doctor's
I mean, that's pretty
appointment
impressive.
January the 10th.
You look good, man. I'm going to give it to you, but you can't win
When
the
you-
weight loss challenge
January
by
the
cheating.
10th.
When he pulled his shirt up, you could tell. I mean,
I turned away.
January the 10th,
stone.
I'll find out if it has helped my A1C or not. I don't know because I'm not testing
Okay,
it.
but we made in our weight loss
I have
challenge,
stopped
which we
snoring.
started 2 years ago.
you
That's
stopped
great.
snoring?
According to Terry, I've pretty much basically stopped snoring.
We tested that when we went wintergreen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was
that was
actually an early podcast. We played the recording of his snoring. It sounded like death on a cracker. I mean, it sounded.
But you know what's the
sounds
sad
challenging.
part about that? I was texting Terry about how bad Hermie was snoring in the room. I didn't realize I was
We
snoring.
had a
as
hell
well.
of a year, hadn't we?
Oh, it's been a great
I
year.
mean, here we are cascading towards the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ, which we were all so grateful.
Are we going to get to anything of substance?
Yeah, we're
on this
going to.
podcast?
But I mean, look,
what
you know,
episode
look,
is this? 87, I think.
something like that. Yeah, we got 100. To,
We gotta
to
get
go
that
on the
in.
contract, and then we got to keep going. I mean, that's going to get us into next year. It's all been paid for. The sponsors have you know.
Is your
have paid.
contract running in next year, Shep? Or are you at D1231?
I don't even think I had a contract.
You got a verbal? Contracts can't be
You got a
verbal.
verbal, yeah.
Well, in Virginia,
Sure.
verbal
A verbal contract
a verbal
enforceable?
contract
Yes,
is
they are.
enforceable.
So
in
long as
Virginia.
they can be performed within 1 year. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they have to be in writing. That's called the statute of frauds. So yeah, no, we got them under contract. I'm sure we do.
I am on the contract.
Yeah. Did you get your Christmas bonus from the Leaning Right and Turning Left podcast?
I didn't see a bonus.
It's right in front of you.
Nor have I seen a
It's-
contract.
It's those crackers and some of that cheese. This is our Christmas party. So no, I just enjoy
This
listening
is
to you
a
guys on
Christmas
here.
party?
This is
This
a
is
Christmas
great.
party.
Oh, it's awesome.
Hi, folks. This is Hermie Sadler. Thanks for listening to our all-new podcast, Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator. I hope you are enjoying the show as much as Senator Stanley and I enjoy bringing it to you. Whether you're a family traveling together or a truck driver hauling freight up and down the highway, I hope you will take the time to visit one of our Sadler Travel Plaza locations in Virginia and North Carolina. Sadler Travel Plaza locations are licensed dealer locations for Pilot Travel Centers. And we also carry Shell Motiva petroleum products for our four-wheel friends. We pride ourselves on providing one-stop shopping for service, food, and entertainment. Our food options include Five Guys Burgers and Fries, Quiznos, Dairy Queen, Hermie Sadler's Faux Show Bar and Grill, Victory Lane Restaurant, Hunt Brothers Pizza, Dunkin' Donuts, and much, much more. Our locations include Sadler Travel Plaza in South Hill, located off I-85 at exit 12. The Sadler Travel Plaza of Emporia, which is conveniently located on exit 11B off I-95, and Sadler Travel Plaza on Highway 58 in Suffolk. We also have our North Carolina location, Sadler Travel Plaza in Dunn, North Carolina, that's exit 75 off I-95. We appreciate all of our customers, and Bill and I appreciate you listening to Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator, powered by Pace-O-Matic.
Hey, this is Bill Stanley, Hermie Sadler's sidekick on this podcast. When I'm not in Richmond at the Capitol or doing this podcast, my real job for the past 27 years is as a trial attorney with the Stanley Law Group. Here at the Stanley Law Group, we represent our clients in every courthouse in the Commonwealth. No problem is too small for us to solve. No case is too big for us to win. Whether it's criminal charges, traffic offenses, civil disputes, litigation matters of any sort, we handle it all. We make sure that we treat every client like family because they are are to us. Your problem is our problem. Your success is our success because we hate to lose more than we love to win. And believe me, we win a lot. Don't believe me? Go ask Hermie. I'm his favorite lawyer, and he hates lawyers. So give us a call at 540-721-6028 and let us help you. Or visit our website at www.vastanleylawgroup.com. That's www.vastanleylawgroup.com. At the Stanley Law Group, we'll make sure we're the lawyers that you swear by and not at.
Are we going to talk about
My chuckleheads. Yeah, we got a lot
some
to
of your
talk about,
legislative friends?
but we're going to do it like in another clip.
He's kind of
We're
putting
going to
that
try to
off
put
it.
some clips together of some of the best times we've had with you, Shep, this year. And so I was going to title this podcast because I write the summaries and do the titles and try to be quippy and
So you're
clever.
in charge of all this lack of production we have right now?
absolutely.
Okay.
Isn't it better?
I miss Chad
who
so
wants-
bad.
Who wants to listen to the crap that's got structure to it? and actually, when Hermie and I had outlines, it sucked. So here we are at the end of year two.
People like Kyle Petty and people like that. on
Mickey
the show.
James.
Yeah.
No, well, you're the one that gave me
Road
crap,
Dog.
Shep, about having too many guests on and him going to his Rolodex. So we just started
No,
talking.
his
and then-
Rolodex
and
is
then our
great.
boss, Jeff Jarrett, said, hey, you guys are really, you don't have to do guests all the time. Why don't we do something next week? Let's get you a guest on here. Let's get Larry the Cable Guy, maybe.
Now it's
Or
almost
Carl Edwards.
General Assembly's time.
Carl Edwards. No, that's in January.
You find
It starts
riveting-
January the 10th.
That's fine.
a riveting politician.
Okay. So we're going to go back to
Honestly.
your Rolodex then. I mean, riveting politician. Who do we got?
You know who can Pillion?
Oh, yeah. He's a great one. Wow. We're really going to keep that audience with that Todd Pillion, who is a great guy, by the way. And maybe Travis Hackworth. He's
Yeah,
fun.
he's funny. I like him.
Travis Hackworth. That's why he talks like this, and I learned how to imitate him. And so he was sitting in front of me, and Tommy Norman, your guy, Senator Tommy Norman, would go
My
up
guy.
to the Senate desk, the clerk's desk right in front of us. It's this round dais. And I would sit behind Travis and go, Tommy, you're an asshole. Get out of my way. You're blocking my shot. You're fat. And Tommy would look back, what is the matter with you, Travis? And he's going, it wasn't me. It was Stanley. It was Stanley.
I almost thought I was going to get to see some of that firsthand this
Oh, and by
this
the way,
next year.
By
It
the
was
way,
close.
we're getting off the topic of Christmas, but I guess it'll be a good segue. So I found out that my office was on 614. It's a corner office. Come see me. It was on 614. 2 windows. One sees the AG's office. One sees the Capitol. It's seniority. And then Frank Ruff is retired due to his illness. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. But then I found out the clerk of the court, a clerk of the Senate, calls me up and says, hey, do you want to move offices into Frank's office? I was like, all right, well, maybe not. And she's like, well, it's 1 floor below. It's 514. I said, well, it doesn't change anything. I mean, I said, so let me ask you a question. Who are my office mates on either side of me where I am now? And she said, Democrat LaCherice Aird and Democrat Jen Boysko. I said, you got to move me. They're going to think I'm crazy. And so now I'm down on 514 next to Travis Hackworth and Todd Pillion. So I'm
Nice,
back in
much better for
friendly
you.
territory. Yeah. Oh, dude, I would have complaints. I'm in the woke crowd corner there.
Really?
And it would have been bad. So, in fact, she goes, well, I got to talk to another senator, Richard Stewart, see if he wants it. And I was like, I'm texting Richard, don't take that office. I need to move. But I'm glad. I mean, I like LaCherice and I like Jen Boysko, and I have done the Beagle Bills together, but that could have been trouble. So that's what happened today. And that's my life.
I will say to hear and read the news of Frank Ruff resigning. Of course, I don't live in Mecklenburg County, but have operated businesses, still do, in Mecklenburg County for many years. And Frank's been a solid servant to the Commonwealth of Virginia for a long time.
Horrible loss. Now, Frank's been there 30 some odd years. Number 1 ranked Republican in the Senate, number 2 in terms of seniority behind Louise Lucas. Wonderful legislator, quiet man. I mean, he didn't stand up and pound the desk and be, this dispassionate kind of guy like I am, the rah-rah guy that I was, or that, say, a Billy Carrico was. But he got things done for Southside.
And you said he could reach across the aisle and get it done too.
All day long.
I've heard
Yeah.
you say that
Yeah,
before.
He had the respect of everybody. And he was kind of a quiet man, but firm in his principles and resolution. He was knowledgeable of the law and the rules. He got things done. He got things accomplished. And he was a great representative of Southside Virginia. And you got to think about the loss that we're just about to suffer on that one. I mean, that's the number one ranked seniority Republican for Southside
Virginia. He had appropriations on the Republican side, right?
If we had won the Senate. But he would have been our ranking member.
But he would still be in appropriations.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you would have had somebody in Southside, number one guy, who would have been able to direct traffic and funds and protect us in Senate finance. That's gone now.
Hey, let me
now,
ask you
and
this.
now we've got actually tonight, they're deciding who's going to be the nominee to replace Frank Ruff. They're going to be number 40 in the Senate. So we've not just lost a stalwart for Southside Virginia. We've lost a lot of institutional knowledge, 30 years of it right there. And we've lost a leader in Southside that is now replaced by somebody who's, quite frankly, I've looked at the list and they're all nice and great people, but they're no Frank Ruff.
Yeah, that position went from number 1 to number 40.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah. And
Let me ask you this.
Now I've slid up to number 4, and that should scare everybody in the Commonwealth of Virginia that I'm the 4th ranked Republican in the Senate. I mean, I started out at number 40 only since 2011, and now I'm number 8.
Yeah, that porn bill got you right up there.
Damn right.
So let me ask you this.
Merry Christmas.
Why do you think Frank ran and won his seat and then retired due to this illness? Why go through the election?
Well,
because he ran unopposed,
right.
if I remember correctly.
But I think
it had to be strategic.
No, it really wasn't. I think, I don't know the timing of him discovering about his illness. He kept it very private, but he looked great to me. When we left session in March, he looked no different than he looked 13 years ago. Strong-willed, strong man, quiet but firm. The old Frank Ruff that I knew. And then we heard that he had cancer. And all of a sudden, right around the election, he was going into surgery. And it was an aggressive form. And he decided he was going to aggressively treat and fight it. And I think the principle, Frank Ruff, which is what we all should aspire to in public service, was that I think he looked at this and said, because I'm going to undertake this aggressive treatment to heal myself so that I can spend time with my wife and my family and my kids and my grandkids, I can't be the dedicated public service servant that the people deserve in Southside Virginia. That takes a lot for somebody to actually step up and say, look, I'm going to overtake my ego here with common sense because I'm not serving the people that I represent, even though he won in a landslide, unopposed. I mean, he's loved by everybody in Southside Virginia. And this new district was no different. He and I split districts. Our districts overlapped in kind of weird ways for the past 10 years. He represented a little part of Danville. I represented a lot of Danville, but you couldn't tell the difference because he treated Danville the same way I did, regardless of territory. He was that dedicated. Plus, he was retired. I think he was in the shoe business, a shoe manufacturer. So he was 24/7 politics, 24/7 serving the people, 24/7 being a civil servant, a humble servant, always putting us first, working on the rural commissions, doing his best for, advancement in education in our area, workforce development. I mean, the man was a monster what he could get done. I mean, I like to say that the government does not create a private sector job, but Frank Ruff did about as close as you can to create private sector jobs being in the government. And so his loss is momentous. I'm scared only in the sense that the person that's going to come in is probably going to be not educated in terms of the decorum and the way we can. We're losing in numbers in population. We're being overpowered by Northern Virginia and, Hampton Roads and Richmond. We need strong fighters. So tonight there's an election going on. We'll find out Thursday who wins. We might know pretty much. Actually, it started at 5:30. So they're just getting into
by
it.
8 o'clock or so.
We're going to see, but no matter who it is, could be the strongest candidate in the field. And I think there's 7 running. They're still not going to be Frank Ruff. So I salute Frank. He was a mentor. We had an old saying every morning in the Senate. I'd walk up to him and one of us would say, what are we doing today? What are we going to do great today? And it was always what we could do great for Southside. So he will be missed, but I want him to fight hard. He's a hell of a Virginian. but he will be in.
I'll say a couple things. First of all,
Entirely
my best wishes to Frank and his family. All of my dealings with him over the years have always been good, and he's always worked hard for Virginians, as you said, Bill. You know, and I know you mentioned the rank. You know, he goes from number 2 or, you know, to somebody on the Republican side coming in at number 40, you know, and that's certainly a big change. But the bigger concern I have now as a constituent that believes in conservative principles and qualities, Frank Ruff could have been one of those people that could have probably in a way to get more done than some been there to, because Bill, how many times have we talked about all the new people that are coming in, even on the Democratic
This is now
side?
19 out of 20 in the Senate. So you're talking about half the Senate is brand new.
He could have been somebody that has the right demeanor that probably could have avoided some of, or, you know, been that
Uniter.
sounding board uniter, you know, because he has that, he's got that kind of unassuming, you know, kind of quality. And, you know, when I was running,
And when he says something, you believe it because he's not going to BS you.
When I was
he
running-
believed in honesty, not BS. And he was his actions and his accomplishments spoke for themselves.
when I was running, you know, people wanted to always go around and say, where do you stand on this? And where do you stand on that? And what do you think about this? And give me a direct answer on that. And all those things are important. But where I was
Ice maker's dumping. Sorry.
where I was just as interested in participating and contributing was sitting down in committees or sidebar meetings or caucus, whatever, and sitting down with people and trying to unite and bring people together and try to
Find some common ground.
find some common ground on some things and talk about things that we actually had a chance to get past and things of that nature. So because I believe that the type of candidate matters. I believe different skill sets and different life experiences are good when you're sitting down. I know people, Republicans, Democrats, you sit down, you certainly have philosophical differences, you have political differences, all these other kind of things. But if you have an ability to be able to sit down in a respectful way and have conversations and bring positives out of both sides, because I some of these things that you hear and see, not just in Virginia, but when you watch TV, Congress and otherwise, they talk about a lot of things that it's not even worth talking about because it's not going to get passed. It's not going to happen. And I think some of the messaging that we've talked about that maybe hurt the conservative movement and Youngkin's, you know, the people he brought up and all that was because of the messaging. And I think we got to find a way as conservatives to find a way to better construct the messaging on things that people that are really affect their lives every day and things that you can actually get done. And I just think Frank, he was cut from, he had obviously a lot of power and a lot of influence, but he was just so unassuming.
Always.
And
He snuck up on you.
and people, he's somebody you can sit down and talk to. And we've got some people over there, probably some on both sides, that think it's more about them and
the
it
people.
should be about the people. And I think, especially on the conservative side, I mean, a lot of Democrats, it is what it is, and they think what they think, and they, you know, whatever they're doing is work for them. But for our side, we've just got to start rebuilding from the bottom and starting to build that coalition with the better messaging and all these other kind of things. And I just think Frank could have been a calming influence in the General Assembly coming up with all the newness and the unknowns. He could have been somebody that without pushing a personal agenda could have really brought the good out of a lot of people, I think, on both sides of the aisle to try to find some kind of way to make progress for the people, because the way things are stacking up, it's going to be difficult for y'all
Mm-hmm.
to really push anything meaningful.
And you know, Hermie, you were
to
talking
the finish
about,
line.
Well,
you're talking about,
and we go down from a leader to, again, a newbie who's got to learn the ropes, learn the rules, learn to get along, learn their place in the caucus. And we've lost a really strong voice on the finance committee, not just for Southside Virginia, but for Republicans.
well, you know, Hermie, you were talking about messaging, and I go back to one of the presidential debates when Nikki Haley was talking about abortion. And she said, look, we can talk whatever we want to, but we don't have the votes to get it passed. She recognized that way the federal government is made right now, the Republicans don't have the votes to get it passed. And I think that answer.
Wait a minute. You're bringing
And-
Nikki Haley into a Frank Ruff tribute?
I am, because it goes to, from my viewpoint, it goes to Hermie's point about messaging in the conservatives. What can you get past? And Nikki Haley, for me, I think she raised a lot of eyebrows and got a lot of support on her answer. It doesn't matter what my views are, as much as she said, we can't get it passed.
Well, I say this respectfully, like here in Virginia on the conservative side, we need the Bill Stanleys and the Travis Hackworths and these type of people, but we also need, you know, I've said it jokingly before, the Todd Pillions and the Frank Ruff type people, that it's not all about who's flamboyant all the time. It's, you know, you got to have a big, you know, cross section
Stealth
of people.
accomplishments. I
You
mean,
know,
they run silent. They run
And
deep,
more
but they get
importantly, when it
things
comes to
done.
Frank,
Mhm.
when you sit down with somebody, it helps if you respect them.
Yeah.
You know, because there's and a lot of people, and I got this from my interactions with legislators before I even decided to run as a small business owner, trying to tell the small business story to legislators on both sides of the aisle, not only as related to skill gains, but, you know, government dictating minimum wage and all these other things that are very difficult for small businesses to navigate in this kind of environment. And I got looked down at a lot
You just got to find a new way to make
by
money.
legislators that said, you may run this business and you may be responsible for 317 people on a payroll every 2 weeks, and you may, but I know better than you. So this is what it is. And now you get a lot of that. And some people are willing to listen. Some people are not. And so it's, Frank, I just think could have been a calming influence.
Well, he's been a calming influence.
Yeah.
You know,
but in a year when you got half of the buildings going to be filled with new people that are going to be full of piss and vinegar, and let me show them what we're going to do.
yeah.
I'll
You're
show
right about
them.
that.
Frank could have made some people look.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, sit down and listen for a minute. You know,
Yeah.
he could have done that.
And let me tell you a couple of things. When I was younger senator, I was a little more exuberant. I'm still exuberant. I'm still kind of crazy. But when I was younger, one time we were making a speech to the same crowd. I stood up and said something really stupid. And I turned to Frank and I said, Frank, how's that? And he said, you're an idiot. Let me go straighten it out for you. And I didn't really realize at the time that I was an idiot. But then when he spoke and said what Stanley meant to say, and this is how, and he didn't contradict me, but he actually made it okay. And I didn't really read the crowd right, is that I realized he saved my ass. The other time was we were at a chamber breakfast after a session, and it was right during the time of Obama's Medicaid expansion. And, you know, we saw this as a huge $2 billion hit. The government, the federal government was giving us money at the time, but the problem is we were going to get stuck with the expansion. And how would this work for the state in terms of its budget? We've seen now we're getting stuck with a lot of that bill. And Frank Ruff stood up and said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid that this will be a tar baby, that this will be stuck to us and that we won't be able to extricate ourselves if it does not work. There was one politician, liberal mayor out of the city, one of the cities we represented. He went to the press. That's racist. This was years ago.
Because of the tar
racist.
baby.
Yeah, that's racist. Well, of course, if you've read the whole literature, that's not racist. It meant, because Briar Rabbit had a tar baby and it stuck to him. because he loved the Tar Baby. It was like a doll. Had nothing to do with race. Well, this mayor then sold it to a reporter in Virginia Beach who actually wrote a story about it. And I went ballistic. I was like, I was there. It was not racist. He was using this as a literary alliteration that has nothing to do with this. And I was getting out of sorts to defend Frank. And he grabbed me by the arm. He said, Bill, if you know you didn't do anything wrong,
None to defend.
don't make an ass of yourself trying to defend it. It'll be all right. And Frank, as firm as he could, stood up and said, didn't mean it that way. And guess what? It went away. And I was pounding the table, pounding the chest, mad as hell that they could do this to him. And man, he was cool as a cucumber. He was cool as a moose's ass. He was just, man, listen, you stand for what you stand for. And you're not going to sit there and fight these guys. I wish we had the same temperament now when it came to all of the things we see more recently when we're called misogynist and racist. If you just would stand up to it and act like Frank Ruff, then what they see is they throw and they lob bombs at you and they explode, but they don't touch you. They don't muddy up. And then they go away. They find that they don't have a result that they want to have in your reaction. And so Frank is that kind of guy. Man, I just wish we could put it on hold. You know, we're already down 21-19. Frank, go do what you got to do. Come back next year. I would have preferred that. But again, that's Gentleman Frank for you. That's the man who says, if I can't represent my people 110% of the time, then it's not fair to them. I mean, that's choosing service over self. And I think that's going to be part of his legacy, but man, is he going to be missed.
And that wasn't the only one. We touched on a little bit, Les Adams.
Yep.
Stepped down on the House side. What can you tell us about that situation as you know it?
Delegate Les Adams started about 13 years ago, actually. 12
He's been a couple of races at Martinsville and
Yep.
things I met.
Great guy. I talked him into running. He was a lawyer in Pennsylvania County. I said, Les, the seat opened up. And I said, why don't you run for it? No, I don't know. No. And I said, yeah, you know, I will pay for your consultant, which was Richard Krause, which you've met.
Oh.
And actually had Richard Krause live in my basement right when I was.
Deals.
Yeah. Well, and then he lived in my,
Got
actually,
Chex Mix, I bet.
he was there for 2-3 years in my basement. He was only supposed to be there 3 months. And my wife, I told her that the extra wedding gift was Richard Krause in our basement. And my kids, you know, learned to love him and only knew him as Krause. Didn't know he had a first name. And he helped Les get elected. And then Les, another quiet giant, demonstrated making relationships with Democrats, but also quietly building a real respectable record in the House of Delegates and assuming leadership positions when we had the majority. I mean, he was the chairman of Crim Sub, which was a vaunted criminal justice committee in the House. The speaker loved him. Everybody loved him. There's nobody that hated Les Adams, including the Democrats. And an opportunity has arisen in my circuit, the judicial circuit. We don't have a lot of great attorneys that you go automatically. That person is great for the job. Les would be perfect for it. He has the temperament. He's cool again as the other side of the pillow, like Frank Ruff was. And that opportunity comes around once in a while. And we knew what was best for our circuit in his district was rather than have him sitting in the House as a minority, was to make him a judge in the general district court. So we asked the circuit court judge panel and the chief judge to appoint him when we went out of session. The Democrats absolutely agreed. You know, they're in the majority, but they love Les. They actually called him up, you know. I mean, Scott Surville and those people are like, hey, man, that's a great pick for you guys. We understand it. It's not going to change anything. It's a very Republican seat. And so he's just been appointed to the general district court. He resigned his position so he could take that. He now has to be reappointed by the legislature in January. We don't see that being a big problem. He came down here for an interview. And ultimately, I think it's a great thing for Southside, although we lose another leader that got things done. And now we had a primary, or not a primary, we had a mass meeting that was called, the funny thing about this was the two candidates were the legislative chairman of their respective committees in Henry County and Pennsylvania County. They had to have a meeting to determine the nominating process. One of them, who is a legislative aide, somebody we both know, had the votes and determined it would be a nominating process by mass meeting, which is you come on in, you get a vote as long as you're a registered voter. And it's kind of like a convention, impromptu. And so it was held at the Ag Center in Pennsylvania County. Everybody thought basically that was an advantage to the opponent, who I like very much. He's the chairman of Pittsylvania County. He was the former mayor. He's a legislative aide to Otto Oxman.
Town council member.
Yes. And so we thought that was happening. We were trying to get you a job, Shep.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the people from Henry County came over understanding that this seemed to be a little awkward in terms of such a rush job and a nominating process. And it turns out Eric Phillips won the nomination. That's another 65% Republican House seat. Really good guy, businessman, a contractor. He's in some other things. He's the chairman of Henry County and Martinsville Republican Party. A really thoughtful guy. I endorsed him. Danny Marshall endorsed him. I endorsed in those races. I'm not endorsing in the Frank Ruff race that's being determined now because that's in the Senate and I'm in leadership. But he won pretty handily. And so now we're going to have him coming in. Now, for him, he's a newbie on the House side, and it's 100 people. So it's not like he's going to have leadership immediately, but I think he's going to be a strong voice for Southside. I'm worried that the 6 or 7, whoever we pick tonight for the Senate seat for Frank Ruff, will not be as strong a voice. And we're running out of voices, man.
You knew which one, but I read somewhere today, Frank actually endorsed one of those candidates.
Yeah, his
Tammy
former,
Merchel or
Molkai, I think is how she says
she was his
and she was a legislative aide. So, like you said, if she wins, she'll still be a newbie, but she has been there as a legislative aide. Her learning curve may be shorter than some of the other candidates.
So in the Senate race, it's like 7 people that are at a mass meeting right now as we speak, and this will be released on Thursday. This is Tuesday. Who knows who the victor is? We don't know at that time, but you're talking about Sturtevant, which was the guy who primaried Ruff, African-American town council or board of supervisors member.
Former state trooper.
Or school board member, maybe.
School board. He was school.
So you've got Cade Gravitt, who is the legislative aide for Tommy Wright. Cade's a really good young man. Kind of a big job for him. Lee Vogler, who sits on Danville City Council. Friend of mine. He and I had some differences, only in the sense that, it's a liberal area and he's kind of conservative, but he voted to take the Confederate flag down from the monument in the back of the last White House of the Confederacy in Danville. I told him, and it was hidden by hedgerow bushes. Nobody knew. I said, if you took down that flag, man, you're going to see a bunch of flags after that. You're creating more problems than you should. This was probably at the beginning of the woke period. They went with that. Now we have 3 of the most giant Confederate flags flying over 29 South and 58 West. And you'll see him if you drive there. So young guy, good guy, but, and think the world of him and would love to work with him as well. You've got, Mr. Ferguson, can't remember his first name. He's the chairman of Halifax County Republican Committee. No political experience other than running a county committee in Halifax, but certainly has the church vote. Very conservative. My concern would be how he's going to vote on skill games and for small businesses, but certainly I think he's got a running for it. And then James Edmonds, who is a former delegate, who retired only because he was drawn into the district with Danny Marshall. And so that's a hodgepodge.
So he's got some experience.
And James has experience. He's a really good guy, but another quiet guy, kind of like a, Pillion type. Just does a good job, doesn't make a lot of waves. And we just need people pounding the table and pushing back on the Democrats from Northern Virginia. So it's a mixed batch of people. And I may be forgetting one here or there, but that's the lineup for tonight. So, and they're meeting in a building, fire department with no heat in a 20-degree night. And at the same time, when the Democrats are having a firehouse primary, when they're voting on their nominee, and one of their election boxes is right there at Drake's Branch in Charlotte County, where they're voting. So Democrats and Republicans collide as they determine their nomination for the Senate seat. But
so when will the election be held?
Election is just like when it was for me. So when Robert Hurt retired, I announced the next day the governor called the election, and my election was the night before General Assembly session started. And so that's the time, I got elected, certified at about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, drove up there with my mother, got sworn in that morning. I think I've told you the story. I'm hand on the Bible, looking down at her. I got the governor, lieutenant governor, all these fancy people. I'm looking at the Senate chamber. And for some stupid reason, I looked down at my mama and said, Mom, ain't you proud your son's a state senator now? And she looked up, not having coffee, and said, don't f it up. And that's how I live my life. So they will be elected in the same way. They'll be elected the night before. Actually, it's the 9th or 10th. So they'll get in there day or day after. And the reason why we have those elections, spot elections, and these kind of nominating processes that are different is because after God bless Ben Chafin, Senator Ben Chafin died, Governor Northam did not call a special election until after we got out of the General Assembly. So he died like in January, right in the beginning of January from COVID. God bless him. I miss him every day. Governor Northam kept that seat empty. They were not represented
in the
at all.
General Assembly. Golly.
For a whole damn session. And so actually Dave Suderline put a bill together that said that can never happen again. And so that's what's causing these hurried nomination processes. And now in the same way, I think the House of Delegates seat to replace Les Adams, which is Eric Phillips, and that's a 65%. He's basically going to get that. They're on the same day. They'll get there the same day, right when session starts.
Nothing like going straight to work.
Let me tell you something. It was crazy. I didn't sleep for like 2 days and I got up to session, and that's why my mom was cranky and said those bad words. But I think about that every day when I go in there. But then you get in and this is a 60-day process, as you know. It is like the saw coming down on the wood in a lumber yard. Well,
when I was elected,
time to figure it out.
When I was elected, we got sworn in the June meeting because my election was in May. Well, it may have been July. Excuse me. We may have been sworn in July 1st. Well, now the elections are in November. So if you get elected now, like on the local level, you're sworn in January. That budget process for most municipalities starts
July 1.
Right in.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, as far as the appropriations process, you're going in, if you have zero experience, you're going in directly into what I think one of the most important things you can do for your local municipality, and that's into the budget process. So it's really a trial by fire sometimes. I did have 6 months, and I had 3 years of involvement in going to meetings before I was elected. So although I had not been through the process, I had watched the process and had an idea of what was going on and what was going to happen and questions that I wanted to ask. But if you have never been through that process before, it really is a eye-opening event for you to experience.
Yeah, and right now we also have in Portsmouth, Republican, in an upset seat that she got 2 years ago, Kimberly Taylor, and I was supposed to do the recount, but I had court this morning. I was supposed to be a part of that. Kimberly Taylor versus Kimberly Pope Adams. It is in a recount right now, and I'm looking for some results. We don't have anything just yet, but that difference right now, that's a recount, is 78 votes. And so there, even though you think 74 votes, I'm sorry. So even though you think everything's set, I mean, here we have 2 elections and a recount. It's not going to determine the change or the balance of power, but things are going into the end of the year that are going to make a big difference. It's the difference between 5149 and 2119. We know we'll maintain Frank's seat unless there's some kind of, anomaly. People don't come out. I mean, that's the other thing, Shep, that you got to worry about right now is that when I ran, it was January 9th. We had an ice storm and a snowstorm when I ran. I still won by 66%, 66-33. So I was lucky, but the turnout was low. So these races could go any way
because of the time of year.
Right. Yeah. Nobody's thinking about going out and voting in a friggin' statewide election or a state house election.
Yeah.
On January 9th.
Because that was in November.
Right.
In their mind.
And so you got to wake them up.
I've already done that.
Got to wake them up, get them off the couch, get them out there, because the Democrats could slip in and win, especially in these Republican areas. That's why they're playing in them. Scott Sturgill is playing in the Senate seat. He's playing in the House seat. He's the majority leader for the Democrats in the Senate. They're going to go and try to pick something off lucky, even if they get it just for 2 years or 4 years. Could be a major win for them. That's what they're trying to win.
But I guess that when it really comes back down to like those county Republican caucus and those leaders. But in this case, they're running. So, who is driving the ship, so to speak, to make sure that voter turnout happens? in some of these regions. I hope that they have vice chairs and other committee members that, regardless of who the people are voting for, they are pushing for a high voter turnout or as high as possible. Because like you said, in January, people have voter fatigue, election fatigue. They're maybe focusing on 2024 elections with the presidential race. So, like you said, Senator, he could very easily lose some of those seats to Democratic opponents.
So I was told we were going to do like some funny Shep moments. Are we doing that, or is he full of shit?
I guess we are going to do that.
Now, is these moments that you think are funny, or that we think the listeners will think is funny?
So, as executive producer of this podcast, because I'm not in charge of the race team, and we've gone an hour and a half now, what has been very
So
compelling
you took
discussion.
Chad's place,
Yeah,
because you used to introduce him as the executive producer.
We've missed Chad.
it's not in the budget. So, so what I'm going to do is this: we're going to call the ball on this one because we've been going an hour and a half. This is a great conversation. I don't want to have this busted up in a 2-hour deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a double Christmas special.
A double special.
2 for 1.
Next.
2 for 1.
On the double Christmas
1
special
for $10, 2 for 20 today only.
No, because quite frankly, I'm looking at these cuts. So we've had some great times this year. I mean, we really have. It's been fun.
We have, yeah.
And we've gone.
I mean,
through
we've
a lot.
also had some good times when Shep wasn't here.
Correct. And what a journey!
In full disclosure,
what a journey
Wow.
we started on.
That's
a year
very
ago.
nice, Hermie. Hope you get a fucking lump of coal Monday morning.
So,
Damn.
Well, at least you can be there now because you're not in retail. You can give him the lump of coal, and you won't
Can
be
you
sitting
believe
there.
he said that?
No,
he's not in
Yes.
retail.
Yes, I can believe it because I agree with him.
Y'all are horrible. Horrible.
Oh, easy there,
Hey, look.
muscle.
And moving forward, with a little extra time, you could actually start putting a little bit of time outside of Made Muscle. Start putting a little production time.
He just said it's not in the budget. You didn't hear that.
Well, he's not looking to pay anybody.
So wait a minute, Shep, you're taking this personally. But the funny thing is what I asked the home crew to do. Aaron Arnold, my legislative aide, and he also works for my firm. My son, Colin, who everybody knows here,
I like
love him
Colin.
to death. He's a great guy. I said, look, I want you to pull the funniest clips that you can find. And I gave some hints where they could be. And let's put it together and we'll make that a part of this podcast.
Great.
Well, this demonstrates the efficacy of my office because they were throwing us out these clips at about 5:05, 5:10 when I asked for them a couple days ago. They were still at the office. And so what they've given me is a couple of things that I think we should bust this Christmas celebration show into 2 shows because we have
Christmas
to
Eve and Christmas Day.
we have to fulfill the contract as well. Let's roll out 2
Are you
things.
shepping me?
I'm not.
So this
shepping.
is all about the contract.
I'm not. No, not shepping him out. Shep. The funny thing is, dumb is that all of this stuff that you're about is about you. So this is like Merry ShepMoss or Merry Christmas. I don't know which one to do, but what I'm thinking is
You do one of each.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. We've had such a great conversation. I love the Christmas conversation.
You got him hot.
we talk politics.
Therefore, just a special
But see,
moment.
you know what happens. You know what happens. Now you're going to make him hot because when you make it about me, then Hermie gets on edge.
No, I just think that's wonderful.
You know
If
that's
you
gonna
listen to
happen.
last week's podcast, just say Dick Trickling. He gets all coiled up. I mean, he was just not
Okay,
living.
Shep. I
He
was
didn't
trying to
like
be on his side. Ask him about the contract again.
Yeah. See?
So what I think we're going to do is we're going to end this podcast, and this will be part 1 of our Christmas special. And what
This,
we're going to do?
this really has been special.
Are we going to do a New Year's special too?
Oh, hell yeah, we're going to do.
All right.
Yeah, we got much more to do here, man. We've got it. Next week when I come back
We
to
got
Richmond and
12
move into my
months.
office, we're going to record from my office in the General
At the
Assembly building.
skyscraper.
When are we doing this?
No, 514.
Next week. No, 27th. December 27th.
You're not going to be.
I've got to move into the GAB. You're not going to be here?
Yeah.
Me
In the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the 26th? You going somewhere? Beach?
And we're going to Gatlinburg for New Year's Eve.
Oh, nice. But that's the 30th, 31st.
I don't know what he's talking about, but I'll leave in Fat on the 29th.
Oh, okay.
But on the 27th,
27th.
I'll be available
I have
until
a date.
lunchtime.
Okay, so we're
Sorry.
gonna record again on the 27th. but we're going to come
At
back
lunchtime.
here in a little bit here. But by the magic of podcasting, it's going to be halfway through the week. We're going to release another one, and we're going to go over some of the best of moments with Shep Moss. It's Merry ShepMoss, or
It's gonna be
Merry
great.
Christmas. We're going to actually
We're
have
going to release one a day between now and New
The
Year.
12 days of Christmas. We could have done the 12 days.
We're going to be as regular as we're on
the
Metamucil.
12th day of
Okay?
Christmas, my true love gave to me.
Another Shep Moss highlight. So, gentlemen, would you agree to that?
Oh, wonderful.
Do you have any? Can you do a teaser of what they may be of for the listeners,
Well, sure.
so they can tune back in?
The way you set this up, can I just play it and it works that way?
It'll play.
Okay. Well, so let me see if this works. All right. This is one of those that we actually, this was a beginning. This just gives you a little teaser of Shep Moss starting our series. All right, Shep, I'm going to let you lead us back into segment 2, and I want you to do it in your DJ voice. I want to use one of your small business implements to lead us back into segment 2. Go.
So, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another segment of Leaning Left and Turning Right.
That was great.
Oh, boy. All right.
Somebody-
Yeah, dude.
Look, the worst part.
Now, this sounds like
you've
a
been-
great show.
Well, part of how you've made a living for the last 35 years has been working on microphone, DJing, getting people to dance, do all this, and then you give us a well, hello, everybody.
We're leaning left and turning right.
Now, what,
Ass back.
Chuck, what happened?
With Creeds and
I had no production notes. to
Shep
go
Boys
on.
go.
I didn't have any.
Dude, but
Time
that's
to
the whole
prepare.
point. Go. I mean, that was the whole point, was just to get
You're
you
I
going.
fumbled.
You're usually pretty fleet of foot, but that
I
sounded like
fumbled.
that sounded like you were, while just trying to bring us back from a bumper, you were lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
So let
I
me
fumbled.
give me a high. That's leaning left and turning right intro with Shep Moss. Then some of the titles that my son has given these things. Shep complains.
That's got to be a misprint.
That's going to be about 30 minutes. And then Shep doesn't need Pornhub. That's
He doesn't
another
need
one.
Pornhub.
no, not
And
with
then
my wife.
Shep's
Absolutely.
late, then brags about vacationing. Now, would you like to hear one more, just a little teaser?
You bragging about vacation.
Yeah,
Vacations
like
may be
Punta
over.
Cana.
Yeah, vacations may be over with.
All right, so let's do another teaser. Why not? Because then we'll get to the two big ones.
We have a hard time getting off the
Which
air.
are
It
Shep
don't
as
make
an
any difference
umpire.
what the hell's going
Shep
on.
is an umpire, and then our porn.
We can't start the show, and we damn sure can't have any.
All right, gentlemen, get ready here. We're going to play one more teaser. This is why you got to come back on part 2 of Merry ShepMoss or Merry Shep Moss. Grab this right
I
now.
can hear it.
All right. Got Shepper.
I
is
like
here.
how
We got
Hermie painted this picture that I just moan and complain. What the listeners don't see and understand the
Moan and
logistics
complain.
nightmare behind the scenes to get this podcast taped. And what we have to put up with and tolerate, and the 38 smoke breaks, and the Eastern Stanley Time, and the last second notifications of when we're going to tape.
And
I
what
mean,
we're going to talk about.
You know, when Brad Tuesday was running this show, it was a lot more organized.
Brad
And
Tuesday.
Bill-
There he goes again.
See, I was trying to be on your side and get on Shep, but since you've turned on me a little bit, Shep, I'll ask you. You got the same guy who's got the podcast problem, same guy that asked for these clips on late last week and got them at 5 o'clock today.
What's the problem?
So what's the problem?
I mean, who's in charge of this damn thing?
Isn't that the best way to do it?
Is it a
though?
communication
It's
problem?
like I
Where's the
told you.
breakdown?
Look, I'm not cheap, but I'm very efficient.
If you want some cook shit, go to fucking, Denny's. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a Christmas thing. Yeah. Go to friggin' Denny's.
Beep, beeps.
I mean, this is.
Are we
this
doing
is
a Toys for Tot donation
Look,
for every beat?
One of the great things I always hear about this is that everybody who listens to us, and a boatload of people said, "Do you guys plan this out?" I'm like, "Hell no!" And they like it.
Oh, they
like
want
it.
the
It's
spontaneity
Yeah, it's spontaneous.
of
All right.
this podcast.
Do we?
We're like a, what do you call it?
do
A
you
dart
wanna
with no
finish-
feathers?
Do you want to? So let's finish up with a Shep doesn't need Pornhub clip, and that will get us into the.
Why not close a Christmas show? Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now let's talk about porn. All right.
Is that a yes or a no?
Well, I mean,
yeah,
you can't watch it
okay.
in Virginia anyway, so
Shep, do you want to hear this
I don't
part?
even
I
need-
mean, you may want to share them. All right, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna fire off all 3 of these.
I mean, look, a girl like I've got 30 years, I don't need Pornhub.
Oh,
That's it. That's a little bit much to be.
I think that's going to score some
a
points.
little over the top. I'm thinking.
You think?
That's going to score some points.
You think she'll buy it? And he's sitting over here with his shirt with 3 buttons unbuttoned.
Better question.
But I said it.
Are you going to let her listen
got
to
a
this
75
episode?
going.
Good God, Shep.
Would you
what
be
the hell
quiet
are you
over
doing?
there?
Are you like building an ark? He's building
an
a
ark.
porn set over there. So
We had some time at Lake Gaston. We got to do that again at some point.
yeah, I'm telling you what, that was special and different.
I still say the umpire one, though. That's got to be in segment 2.
And let me tell you right now, what's
Look,
coming
if
up?
you go ahead and call your office,
Yes.
who's known to get things done in a timely manner for you.
They're
If
gone.
you tell them now you need it,
5:15, boom,
we can
gone.
we can put that one on the Valentine's show.
I was thinking of next year.
Yeah, okay.
Best of next year.
But look, put in a
That's the 2024.
911 put in a 911 request to your office and say, look, I need this ASAP. And look, if we don't get it about Valentine's Day, it'll kick off the Easter show.
Yeah, I guess I missed Chad Monday.
Maybe we can play that when the MLB season starts in April.
So we're gonna come back. We're gonna end this one, and we're gonna start a new one, and we're gonna play the 2 most famous, most requested, most listened to clips that involve you, Mary Shep Moss, or Mary Chris.
And what are
Moss. They are.
Do you even want to
They
share
are
the
when
title?
you revealed your history as an umpire in the South Heel Dixie Boys.
We ain't had a Major League Baseball player come out of South Hill
Oh, my
since
God.
1970.
Kids
Now
are
we
still
know
It's all
reeling.
because of him.
They're still reeling.
And then we're going to go back to the Lake Gaston. Well, actually, those are both 2 Lake Gaston
Yeah.
tapes. We're going to go back to the Lake Gaston tapes and actually talk about the famous night when we went over. My pornography bill that protects children. But we all had phone calls from people that were mad at me for that bill because it cut off all their porn.
Oh, yeah.
Just to protect children.
Plug said, you
And then-
don't believe it.
You don't believe it.
And then we go through an incredible conversation about our own experiences growing up. And then we have the absolute star, Plug Moore.
That
come
was awesome
and
to
appear
get him
because
on
of
the
you,
phone.
Shep
I mean, he
Moss.
answered the phone.
It's all about you, Shep Moss. It's all about you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to this part 1 Christmas special. I'm Virginia State Senator Bill
we have
Stanley.
covered a lot of ground on this.
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right, I'm Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley, and Shep.
I got a question for you.
Sure, what?
So, do you see somebody in the Senate that will be able? I know they can't replace Frank Ruff, but do we have somebody that can potentially fill his shoes for the Republican side? Even if it takes some time, I understand it will take some time, but
No,
what's plan B?
no, there's no plan B. He's the end of an era. You get into the new. I mean, when you're talking about Mark Omenshane and Ryan McDougall, and then me, Richard Stewart, being the old
So, I mean,
guard.
can you change your ways a little bit to kind of mold, to kind of try to fit that mold a little
Teach a
bit?
old dog new tricks.
No, that just did not happen. No, I'm just one way. I mean, I'm wired the same. Always the truth, but I'm going to be passionate. I'm going to try to make a joke out of it, and I'm going to try to, be better about it and get a result that I want. I mean, that's why you'll see, we'll talk about the bills I'm going to drop. My stuff always makes a difference. Governor's office called me, wanted me to claim, and carry for them a couple bills. And I was like, those are boring. I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it.
Not doing it. So there you go. So, all right, we're going to come back, but you're going to end this episode and we're going to have part 2 of the Christmas special, a second episode.
This is Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the
I
Senator.
do have one more question
Powered
for
by
Hermie.
Pace-O-Matic with Hermie Sadler, Senator Bill Stanley,
Yes, sir.
and
ShepMoss.
Hermie, we didn't talk about Eric Montross.
Oh, we'll
I know
do
you
that
want to
in the next
mention
segment.
that.
That's important. That's important. But we'll do that.
Go ahead.
No. Let's talk about that next because that's a very important thing. I don't think we ought to leave.
he's trying to produce
Yeah,
without
yeah.
producing. I understand.
Yeah, he's keeping it going.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Virginia State
We've
Senator
already
Bill
signed
Stanley.
off 3 times.
Oh, we did?
Powered by
Merry
Pace-O-Matic.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy
Jingle,
Holidays.
jingle.
Happy New Year.
Okay. God bless you all. We'll be back with part 2, but this is the end of this episode, and the next one will be in a couple days.
Merry Christmas.
God bless you all.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson with SaveWithConrad.com. You've heard me bragging on the podcast for years about helping people save money on their current house, but did you know that I could help you with your next house as well? That's right, we can get you into your next house with zero down. No money down loan programs are still available, and I know it sounds too good to be true, but we can do it for you. And by the way, home ownership is more affordable than you might think. We routinely turn renters into homeowners, and we hear back that their new house payment is more affordable than what they were paying in rent. Why would you keep doing that? Stop throwing your money away, paying for someone else's mortgage, and start building wealth for your family. And let my family help at SaveWithConrad.com. You don't need perfect credit to do this. We can improve credit scores down to the 500s, and it's worth mentioning, we never say no. We say not yet, but here's how. You need a game plan to buy a house, and that's where we come in at SaveWithConrad.com. We'll ask you, what down payment do you want to make? And zero is an acceptable answer. And what monthly payment do you want? And then it's time to go shopping. Find out how easy it is and how affordable it is to become a homeowner at SaveWithConrad.com.